I always win. No.
The thing is, I'm really good at games. Then I teach him, and then he becomes the master.
Yeah.
So the students are passed to the master. I hate that. I'm like, my crown, he's slipping, he's taking it, I don't like it.
Yeah, tell me more about life from my head. Walked out, like doing 5 years, like be a mum.
Very young, all of my friends, when we finished school, went to university, went back to where they live, you know, Scotland, Ireland, Cambridge. So I lost that network of people to support me. And I was the only one in my year that had a baby that young, so everyone was still, you know, partying and studying and going off. And I just thought, oh, how am I going to bring up this tiny thing with nothing? I had nothing, but I was determined and I loved this baby, and it's just like, if I can get through this period, then it will be okay. So eventually, like, people started helping out a little bit. Talked about wanting to go to drama school. So I moved to High Wycombe, that's where my mum was living. I would drive to the Central Line and then get a train into school, train, finish, drive. Everyone would go to the pub or go and watch plays or, like, develop friendships with each other. And then I would get home just in time to read a story, take him in, kiss on the head, good night, then learn lines, do my homework, and then go to bed. I do that every day for 3 years. So it's just like, try and work out, pack lunch, feed myself, and it was bonkers, absolute bonkers.
What was it like, mum? TV,
She's really talented, so you just kind of like, I can separate that from, and like really invest myself in the character and the story and everything without it being a distraction.
The your mum on the stage, person.
Yeah.
That's a relief, because I get killed a lot on stage.
Yes, I remember Mother Courage, the National Theatre. There's like a big bang, she falls backwards, so you're like this.
It's a machine gun.
Yeah, she falls backwards, and I thought it was so cool. I just wanted to know how it was done.
Maybe fine. That's great. Yeah. That's great.
What about things you proud of your mum from her career?
What am I not proud of? Would be an easier question. Just that, like, the fact you juggled it all, like juggling everything and still coming out incredibly successful.
How do you describe your relationship?
She's my mate.
Best friend, yeah. The only person in the world that I completely trust. It's always been like me and him against the world, you know, like whatever happens, I know that come back to just us. Then I don't need anything else in life.
Stop threatening to be people to come to me. I hope I have what you have.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Oh, dear. How did I get to that? You. They traveling behind, but how about the bed? That's it.
My mum's signing. Mum, so tell us how you or why you started signing.
To communicate with you.
What was it like for you as a mum back in Oban House?
I was so guilty. I don't know the sign.
Guilty. Guilty.
That I couldn't stop using drugs. And I knew
You knew.
was you.
You were hurting me. But you couldn't stop. I'm sorry I brought this up.
No, it's important.
I love you.
Oh, I love you.
Okay. Don't cry. Don't cry. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's just a bit emotional. But we're in a good place now, aren't we? We're okay. We're okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Just talking about it is hard, but we're okay.
We know. We have to talk.
I don't want you to feel guilty anymore.
I'm okay.
Just be kind to yourself. I promise if you promise, yeah? Bye, Mum.
If you have watched this program and it has affected you, there is support information online at bslzone.co.uk/support.